Okay, well, everyone, now we're recording, so thank you and welcome to our associate webinar exclusive just for you, designed just for you, written just for you all, especially for Legal Shield members. I really appreciate you joining. I'm calling this Transform Your Business During the Pandemic, and I think we've all had to do a little bit of transforming during this pandemic in order to keep our business going, and meet the challenges that are presented by the social distancing and the lack of in-person contact, or the reduced amount of in-person contact that we can all have. So I thought that would be a good topic of conversation. I am going to start off by giving you a little business briefing on what's happening from our standpoint. So the good news, I've got a lot of good news here for you for Legal Shield. It really is. Requests for services are up, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in detail, but they're up, and they're up big time over last year. So that's great. Legal Shield members are using the service, and that's just a great thing. Utilization rate is also up. So a larger percentage of our members are calling us on a monthly basis, which is really wonderful. And you might not expect it, but we've had increased utilization, but our member satisfaction scores are up as well. So it's easier to spend more time with members whenever we're less busy, but even though we are busier, we're still maintaining our satisfaction, and folks seem to be very happy with us. Oh, so next here. Trying to go to the next screen. Bear with me here for a minute. Okay, hold on 1 minute. Okay. So the bad news, unfortunately, is that membership continues a long downward trend. So we've been trending down for about a year, maybe a little bit more, in the number of members that we have in Pennsylvania, and that's definitely something that we would like to reverse. And so that's why we want to talk about some of these things tonight. So requests for services, I wanted to start by giving you a little perspective. In 2020, our request for this is where our requests for services are. So the graph, the top graph, the one with the purple line, is the 2019 month-to-month number of requests for services that we had. So for the year, we had a little over 30,000 requests for services, and there's a little breakdown on the areas of law. Estate planning, typically very close to the top of the number of the requests for services. We get a lot of those. Along with consumer finance, that's a lot of types of things mixed together. Debt collection, finance related matters, all kinds of stuff that are mixed up into there. Real estate, family law, employment, those are all of our big areas of law. And there is some change time to time in those areas of law, but they don't really change all that much from year to year. And then at the bottom graph that you will see, it has three different colored lines. 2018 is the gray. 2018, 2019 were by and large very similar. But as you can see in 2020, the yellow line is the request for services. And even though we had a pandemic, right, in the middle of March, our request for services in 2020 was really not very much different than 2019 or 2018. It's been very consistent all through those years. We did have a little dip going into April in our request for membership, and that definitely corresponded with the pandemic. But you can see that beginning in April, the request for services really, really picked up. And I attribute that to a couple of different things. Number one, I really believe that the pandemic really created a sense of need and a sense of awareness for how people needed legal services, right? There was just a lot of uncertainty out there about things that had a legal aspect to them, and many things do. And so folks, I think, realized that they needed access to legal services, and they really started reaching for their app or their Legal Shield card, whatever it was, in order to get a hold of us. Secondly, I attribute that to our increased emphasis in marketing into the membership base. We really were very active on social media during that time, reaching out to members and helping them conceptualize and understand how they could use their Legal Shield membership during the pandemic. So that's why we think that really happened. In 2019, it's a little bit more information for you, and remember these figures because I'm going to come back to them when we talk about 2020. The pie chart is a pie chart of the source of members who called us, right? So of the people who requested services, this is where they came from in the various channels. And 58% of them came from network members who came through network sales, right? So through sales that you all did, right? That was very important. D2C in that pie chart, as you might imagine, is direct consumer. Those are internet sales that sell directly with Legal Shield. And then we have solutions and Primerica. And there's also a breakdown of the number of intakes and the percentage of intakes based on the length of membership. So, relatively new members, right, called us about 47% of the time. So, I'm sorry, 37% of the time. So there's a pretty significant portion of our call volume was from relatively new members, right? And then the rest are a little bit more aged members that are out there. So let's take a look at 2020, and we've already sort of looked at the intakes, but it went up in a dramatic fashion. Almost looks like the COVID curve for New York in the early times. That's how steep it is, but it really went up. In July, 3,500 requests for services for a month is a lot for us, and we're very happy about that. August has gone back down a little bit to what I would call relatively normal numbers. But as you can see, through the August 20th, we were already at about 22,000 requests for services. So, if we average another 3,000 or 2,000 or so calls, maybe 2,500 calls per month, we're gonna exceed the number of intakes that we took last year, and we're very happy whenever folks are using it, because if they're using it, we think they're keeping it. So you can see the areas of law breakdown: consumer finance, estate planning. Those just kind of flip-flopped a little bit. Employment came up. Real estate. We get a lot of real estate calls, probably more so than a lot of other providers. It might just be because we concentrate on those types of things in our social media. Landlord tenant came up, as you might imagine, during COVID, with the folks having an interruption in their income, layoffs, things of that nature. They wanted to talk a little bit about the moratorium on foreclosures. So we got a higher percentage of those calls. Let's see here. Okay. I'm going to try to flip this again and see if I can just get this out. All right. So back to that pie chart, I wanted to take a look at that again. So in 2020, this is, I think, very important for all of you. You can see the source of the intakes, right? And the requests for services. And you can see that the percentage of the folks calling us that are derived from network sales has gone down about 3 or 4% as compared to 2019. And the percentage of folks calling us who are sold through direct to consumer, went up. And that's a concern for us. We're happy to receive members from any location, but don't spread this around too much. But we really value your role in the sales process, right? You're out there, you're selling to members, you can prepare them well for what they're buying and help them understand what they're buying. So you're really very valuable to us as a provider firm, and I think to the company as well. But for us in particular, the role that you play preparing members and setting their expectations, very important from a team concept that you do that at the front end so that we can over deliver and exceed their expectations on the back end. I don't necessarily have a great understanding of the direct to consumer sales process, but I would imagine that there is less of that type of preparation going on with those sales. And as you will see in a few slides, the average member satisfaction of folks who come through the direct to consumer channel is lower. And I'm guessing, but I'm guessing that it's because maybe they haven't had as thorough of an understanding about the product and what they're buying, how to use it, what the expectations are from the point of sale and the point of service that you all have. So that's a concern for us, and um, I'm really invested in helping you all do your sales and grow your businesses because the members that you send to us are well prepared to work with us, and we really appreciate that. The membership length over here also has a little bit of a concerning trend on it because you can see that the average length of membership of folks calling us in that first year has gone down by a month. Now, 6 months, which was 2019, 5 months, which is 2020, might seem like a small move, but it's a 17% difference, right? 17% is not a small move, it's a significant move. And so what that tells us is that the folks who are calling us, who have had their membership for a year or less, are keeping it for a shorter period of time. And that's not good for anybody, not good for the company, not good for you all, not good for us. Again, I don't know why that is necessarily. I don't have the data behind that, but that's not a trend that is particularly good for anybody. Okay, I can't seem to get this right. Here we go. So member satisfaction. On this screen, I've got 2019 on the left-hand side and 2020 on the right. So in 2019, we were doing pretty well. We're shooting for 55, 57, in that range. We'd be happy with that. We had a couple of bumps along the way. Some of that I think had to do with some changes in the computer system that the home office switched us over to, which caused some servicing issues for everybody. But 2019 we were sort of bopping along pretty well until we got switched over into the Adonis system, and we had a few hiccups there, but then it came back up again. And so we're measured in two different ways. This Net Promoter Score, which is a score that is calculated based upon the surveys that are sent out to members after we have provided services to them, and those come back. Those are very valuable to us, and we really, really look at those very closely. And in particular, we value the comments that members are kind enough to share with us. And sometimes they're praiseworthy. Very often they are. The vast majority of surveys that come back are 9s and 10s on a 10 scale, 10 being the best. We're very pleased about that. But there are folks that let us know that we didn't necessarily meet their expectations. As expectations come from a lot of different areas, or we just didn't measure up to the standard that we have, and we're always looking and trying to improve on what we do. We're also measured on a member satisfaction scale, which is a 100-point scale, 100%, and we're looking to be in the mid 80s there as well. And by and large, we're there. In 2020, you'll see that our satisfaction scores have gone way up. In the last couple of months in particular, we've been in the 60s, and those are amongst the highest amongst the provider firms in the country, and especially amongst other states that are our size. So we're very, very happy with that. And our member satisfaction scores have gone up very much as well. So, May, June, July, very, very busy months for us. We also had very high member satisfaction. So delivering a lot of services, and folks seem to be very happy with it. Show you this information in a different way. Here's the member satisfaction by channel. Channel meaning the origination of the member, where they came from. And as you'll see in 2019, members who come from you all, the network, right? Their satisfaction scores in 2019, 83.3, average NPS in a 50. And in 2020, it's gone up even higher than that. So 86%, that's a very, very high member satisfaction rate and a 58 NPS. We're very pleased with those numbers. But if you take a look at the direct-to-consumer, their member satisfaction scores are much lower than folks who come from the network. And that's a concern. If we're getting more callers who are calling in, of course, we're going to try to help them and provide great services to them, but their satisfaction just seems to be much lower, and that's a concern for us. So again, we're very committed to helping you as best we can grow your business, because we really feel that folks that you send to us are very well prepared to work with us. Just some additional information. Plan type, right? 2019 on the left, 2020 on the right. Again, you get a little bit of an idea of the satisfaction scores based upon the types of plans that we have coming in. So the family plan, the rock of where we're at. From a membership standpoint, that's the vast majority of the members that we have. They are typically very happy. Now in 2020, those numbers are going down. And again, I think that's because there's a bigger mix of family plan members who come through that direct-to-consumer channel. That's my guess. I don't have all of the information behind these, but that's really what I would ascribe it to, because otherwise our overall NPS scores are much higher in 2020. And so that's a bit of a contrary trend there. And I can only, attach that to the other contrary trend in our NPS, which is the direct-to-consumer numbers that are out there. Business members, typically very happy, very consistent, there. We've got some national plan members, and then I'm not even sure what add-ons are, but how they categorize that, I'm not exactly sure. So that's all the good news, right? There's a lot of good news there, some troubling trends about the direct-to-consumer, but by and large, all very, very good news. Now, here's the bad news, right? Our total memberships from June of 2019 to July 20th, this trend is not going in the right direction. So this is about a 4% decrease year over year in the number of memberships here in Pennsylvania. And so we would certainly like to see this curve change directions, and we want to help you all do that, as best we can, wherever we fit. So let's switch over and that's our business briefing. I think you're all able to unmute yourself. Does anybody have any questions at this time about any of that? Because if not, I'll just go ahead and move on, and we can hold some questions until the very end. I don't see any particular questions about the business aspects of it in the chat. All right, well, we're just going to keep moving along here. Okay, so we've got a new normal in this business world as a result of COVID. We've got a lot of people working from home. They're observing social distancing. The opportunities to meet face-to-face are fewer and far between. And there's some job loss out there, right? Folks have been laid off, lost their jobs, and so they have reduced discretionary spending. The pandemic unemployment assistance in Pennsylvania has now run out, and that was a boon for a lot of workers out there. And Congress hasn't gotten its act together to put another assistance in place, so we're back to just normal unemployment. But with every challenge, there's always an opportunity on the flip side of that. That's how I see things. I always see things that way. So here's some opportunities as a result. If your customers they're all working from home, which is great. You know where they are, right? You know how and where to get a hold of them. And very likely they're in front of a computer almost all the time, right? A lot of them are going to be that way, or a much higher percentage of them. So they're home. That's a good thing. Knowing where they are is half the battle. Um, I think, and I mentioned this before, I think that the pandemic has increased awareness that they have legal issues that need legal solutions, and they should be more, the field should be a little bit more ripe for you, a little bit more inviting, a little bit more fertile in approaching folks with a solution to the need, and that's the legal service plan. Everybody's technology IQ has also increased. So previously, if you were trying to work with them or connect with them via some digital tools, they may not have been as familiar with them or been able to work with them, but everybody has had to become accustomed to working just exactly as we're doing right now on Zoom or Teams, all of those different types of things. Everybody has had to get used to the new normal when it comes to communications and dealing digitally with one another. Um, and there's also an opportunity for you to become a better sales associate, right? Whenever you have a little bit of downtime, whenever you have to pivot, whenever you have changed circumstances, that's an opportunity for you to take a look at the mirror, take a look at what you've been doing, and brush it up, improve it, switch it up, change it, do some things to change whatever it is and whatever your approach is or whatever your practices are to make them better. I know that we have certainly spent some time doing that here. So let's talk a little bit about thriving during this new normal. So one of the things that you're going to have to do is embrace digital sales tools, right? That's just all there is to it. And those sales tools, well, we'll talk a little bit about that in detail in a little bit. You're going to have to develop or enhance your online presence. We're going to talk about all of these in a little bit greater detail along the way here. You have to be able to post content online. And I know that that sounds a little bit scary right off the bat. You might be thinking, oh God, I've never had to post on social media. I have no idea how to do that. I don't know what to write. Um, it's not as scary as you think. And just give me a chance. Keep an open mind until we talk a little bit more about that. And all of your communications that are floating around out there, when I mean communications, I mean text messages, emails, things that you send. Maybe it's Facebook messages, whatever it is. Your communications should be pointing to your online presence or to your business, right? They should all be communicating something about your business or pointing to your business. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then finally, if I have enough time and I haven't bored you to tears by then, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about developing and implementing a customer service or a client service model. And that's some of the webinar extras that I'll offer to those of you who would like them at the end of the session. So let's talk about embracing digital sales tools. We're using one right now, Zoom. So if you're on this call, congratulations, you are embracing a digital sales tool. And there are a lot of them out there, but primarily you have to be used to using video conferencing. So Zoom, which is available to everybody, not very expensive to get a subscription. It's a monthly subscription, doesn't cost very much money. You can cancel at any time. Teams is a Microsoft product. So if you have an Office 365 subscription, you have Teams. It doesn't cost you anything extra. Teams is a very powerful conferencing platform. And Google Meet, that's another one too. If you have a Google account, you probably have Google Meet. Now you have to pay for some of these in order to be able to have more than just a few people on the call. But if you're doing a lot of just individual one-on-one sales, probably the free versions of these tools are going to be good enough for you. If you are not a texter, that's a digital sales tool. You're going to have to become a little bit more adept at using texts. You need to embrace what I call productivity software as well. And so that's Microsoft Office 365. That's word processing, your email, those types of things. Or G Suite, that's the Google suite of products. You should be able to use one of those two productivity softwares in order to really embrace the digital age. And then your text should have some type of a business signature on them. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later, but whenever you're sending text messages, there should be a signature on that that includes a link to your social media pages, to your website. I don't know what types of business pages that you have that Legal Shield offers to you as a sales associate. You could link to those, but it should allow people to find where whatever your professional pages are, and that should just be part of everything. Every text that you send can have a little bit of a marketing piece to it. And your emails, if you're sending emails, they should also have a business signature on them with links to whatever business presence that you have out there, whether it's your own website, your own social media, or whether it's something connected to Legal Shield if you have a sales page there. You should be sending that out every time. So every email that you're sending really is a little bit of a marketing email. So embracing the digital tools, something that you really should be doing in order to thrive during this new normal. The next thing that I'm going to encourage you to do is to create or improve some type of an online presence. And really, your customers are online, and they're more online now than they ever have been. They're working from home, probably have less restrictions on their ability to be online and access their own social media, their own private email, whatever it is that they're doing. They're not under the watchful eye of their boss as frequently as they used to be. And so they're home. They're already online. So, your customers are there. You have to go find your customers where they are. That's just the realities of the new normal. Um, it demands that you reach your customers, in new and different ways. So you're going to have to find them on social media or connect with them in some way in social media. It's just a tool for you to connect with folks. I think you will find that if you embrace using some online tools, that you are going to reach more people with less effort. I'll tell you a little bit of a story. I'm on a board of directors for a financial services company called Thrivent Financial, and they do a lot of events, and typically we're doing them in person for their members, and they would invite people to come to seminars, educational seminars, things of that nature, and they always had good attendance at those events. But once the pandemic came and they couldn't do any of that stuff online, they had to pivot to doing more webinars and online events. Well, guess what? Their participation rate went through the roof. So they were connecting with a whole lot more people via these online digital tools, just the tools that I'm talking to you about. They're reaching more people, so they have more opportunities to follow up and acquire more customers. And that's something that I'm going to encourage you to embrace. I'll also suggest to you, and I think you know this as a consumer, that your customers are accustomed to purchasing things online. So they don't always have to meet a real living, breathing person out there. They're used to making purchases, making decisions, and shopping, just online. We all do that just about every day. So if you're not online, where should you be online? You might be asking yourself. Well, I'm going to suggest that your customer base, mostly the customers that you probably want to meet, that have discretionary income, can make buying decisions, are probably on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. That's much more of a professional's social media site. Now, there are a lot of folks on Instagram. This is a much younger demographic. Perhaps that's the demographic that you are shooting for, and that might be a great place for you to recruit. Your messaging on these various platforms might be different depending on the demographics that's there and what you're shooting for, right? So you can use these not only for sales, but you can also use them for recruiting. And Instagram might be a great place to recruit younger potential sales associates out there who are probably very adept at working social media, right? They'd be great people to find. If you can't do it yourself, find somebody else that can do it and put them on your team so that you can benefit from their knowledge and whatever it is they do. And maybe if they're on their team, they can teach you how to do it. Now, if you're online, my first suggestion to you is that you need to keep your business separate from your personal, right? You can't have something where you are trying to um, sell a legal shield product next to, pictures of you going crazy on somebody's boat over the weekend, or at a party, or, whatever. I really encourage you to keep things separate to the extent that you're able to do that. I would also encourage you to consider getting a social media management app. So if you have a number of different sites, you don't want to have to post on them each individually. That's a lot of going in and doing it here, going in and doing it there, and so on and so forth. There are these social media management apps where you can post something once, and then that app does all the work of posting it on all of your various social media pages. Hootsuite is the product that I use in particular. I find it to be very easy to use. These are all very easy to use. Buffer and HubSpot are two others that are very common social media apps that are out there. So once you're online, and some of you are, and maybe you just haven't visited your Twitter account or your Facebook page for a long, long time, and that's okay, but you're out there, right? You got to be intentional about it. You can't just post it out there and expect, if you build it, they will come, kind of a thing. You really have to be a little bit intentional about attracting people to your site. And so you're going to want to invite friends and followers, and you do that by specifically inviting them. You also do that by tagging, or putting links to all of those business communications that you send, the texts, the emails, the types of communications that you're sending out there. They're going to include links to your social media pages, right? So you're always wanting to direct people, point them to wherever it is that you are out there on the internet. And social media pages are just another way of being out there on the internet. You'll want to intentionally invite family, friends, customers, former clients, acquaintances, one another. You want to specifically tell all of those folks that you are out there online. And you really should invite one another to follow one another and to be on one another's social media pages out there. We're all on a team of sorts. It's a virtual team, right? But we're all on a team, and we can really help one another by supporting one another's social media platforms. That's what it's all about. That's the power of social media. It spreads out there like wildfire. And if we're supporting one another, uh, looking at one another's posts, commenting on them, liking them, sharing them on our own social media, it really has a tendency to spread around very, very quickly. That is the power of it. But you need to be intentional about letting everybody that you know where you are online. So once you're out there, then you might be asking, what are you going to do? So we've got a question here. Oh, thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. So you might be asking, what do I put out there, right? What do I put? If I'm out there, what the heck do I put out there? Well, you don't have to create all this content yourself, although I encourage you to do that. And maybe you'll get into that, but you're not, a journalist, you're not a PR person, you're not quite sure how to design these things or what looks great out there. That's okay. You don't have to do it yourself. The easiest thing that you can do is share content from other sources that are consistent with the brand, with the image that it is that you're trying to put out there. It's the easiest thing to do. Let everybody else that's publishing this stuff do it. You just share it until you decide that you want to spend the time or you want to figure it out. But when you're just getting started with this kind of stuff, or even if you're not just getting started, you should be sharing content that is consistent with your brand. And here are sources of content that's consistent with your brand. Legal Shield. They've got a great social media team down there. Todd Bars and his group do a wonderful job. Great guys, creative, beautiful social media material that they're putting out there. And if you comment on it, if you share it, right, Legal Shield may follow you. Legal Shield may comment back, right? They may reciprocate those kinds of things because they want to support you too in your social media efforts, right? You're doing work for them, sharing their content, and sometimes that comes back to benefit you too. I do this, right? I will retweet and share Legal Shield content, and they'll like my content, and it comes back, and it creates more awareness. More people see whatever it is that I'm putting out there on my social media pages because of that. My law firm, I don't know, I know that some of you very actively support my Facebook page, and I just want to take a minute to say thank you very much for doing that. I really appreciate when you're doing that. Um, I am putting content out there that is consistent with your brand. I am trying to put content out there that I think you would be shareable by you, because you and I are talking to the exact same customer base, the same constituency. I am trying to create awareness for legal issues in people's lives, so that they are interested in communicating and reaching out and connecting with my firm. You're doing the same thing. We're really talking to the same people. So a lot of the content that I am producing out there, you should feel free to share that. And I encourage you to do that. Like it, comment on it, share it on your own pages. It's really intended to be a marketing assist to all of you. And it's not just me. There are other provider firms that are producing content. Check some of them out. Check their sites out. Some of them are more active than others. Maybe some of them you like better than others, but they're all producing content that is very consistent with what you're doing. So you've got lots of resources that are available to you out there. Topics that are important to consumers: wills and trusts, powers of attorney, estate planning, pet trusts, those types of things. People are interested in that. Landlord-tenant related matters. You can see uh, the areas of law that people call us most frequently on, right? Consumer related matters, estate planning. Those are things that people call us all about. That's what your constituency is interested in hearing and reading about, because that's what they're calling us about. Those are the problems that they need solutions for. So speak to them because you've got a solution to them. Talk to them about those types of things. You may share information from um, the Consumer Protection Bureau, from the federal government, Good Stuff, Better Business Bureau, places like that. You can share content from there because that's what folks are interested in and they're calling about. Business and entrepreneurship, also something that I put a lot of on my page, primarily because I'm a business attorney by trade. And so I'm kind of focused on those things, but a lot of business people follow that stuff and share that stuff. You can also put success stories on your social media pages. And the types of success stories that I think you'll want to put on there are your success stories from your customers, right? But you can also put your own sales success stories on there, things that have happened to you from a business perspective that were happy for you. Put them on there. People would love to know that you've had a success in life. Just think about it from your standpoint. If you had a friend that had a success in life and you heard about it, you would love to congratulate them. We get that all the time on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn regularly, you see people have work anniversaries and they sort of send you out sort of prompted things, so-and-so celebrating a birthday or a work anniversary or whatever. Hey, it's a happy thing to respond and say, hey, congratulations, fantastic. You like to do that. Your friends will like to do that too. They'll take notice if you're having a little success, in your life or in your business. They would love to comment on that and share that with others. And you can also share one another's success stories. And this is a challenge that I have for each and everybody that is following this webinar tonight. You should all, again, embrace digital communication tools. And if you do that, you can record a video of yourself and tell your own personal success story with Legal Shield, and record that. Then you should share those with one another. And if there are 20 people on this call or 40 people or whatever it is, and each one of you record your own personal Legal Shield success story, and you share it with everybody else, guess what? Now you have 40 success stories to share. Maybe you do once a week. There's 1 day a week for almost an entire year of content on your social media page that you can share with whoever it is that's following you. It's great stuff. And share them with me, quite frankly. I would love to have them. If you wouldn't mind, I'd be more than happy to post those on on our firm's social media pages. I would love to have that type of content. People love to hear personal testimonies. If they trust you, whatever it is that you're telling them about your product is more meaningful and more trustworthy to them whenever it's coming from you and it's your own personal story. That's the best kind of stuff. So share one another's, help one another create content for yourselves. Testimonials, again, if you want to know what to talk about whenever you're telling a success story or giving a testimonial of some kind, um, you can do a variety of them. One, how your membership was used, right? Mark Brown talks about this all the time. Whenever I see him, he always tells the story of how he used the membership and how surprised he was at how easy it was to use it and how effective it was for whatever it was going on. It's a great success story. But you can talk about just how the membership is used and how easy it was to use, how easy it was to get a hold of an attorney about a trivial problem or a traumatic problem, whatever it is. It's amazing. Talk about outcomes, money saved, money recovered. A success story isn't defined by the dollar value of whatever the outcome was, but that's a great success story. If you have a good dollar outcome, that's a wonderful success story to have. How using the membership made you feel or made one of your customers feel. Hopefully it made them feel empowered. It made them feel heard or listened to. Those types of emotionally focused success stories are very powerful, very effective. And so asking somebody, how did that make you feel to be able to access that lawyer, to have that lawyer send a letter on your behalf whenever you felt powerless, to make you feel empowered? Very powerful thing to put on your social media page, right? Especially if it's a video, somebody telling their own story and saying, I bought this product, I used it, this is how it made me feel, right? Very powerful stuff. Having people talk about how they were treated by one of our attorneys. It perhaps no comment that we receive in a survey is more meaningful to me than whenever a member says, and that's the only thing that they say about their interaction, is that I was treated with respect. That attorney made me feel good. They listened to me. They made me feel valued. They made me feel heard. We do get those comments, and we work hard on communicating and connecting with people through empathetic communication. It's a skill that we constantly train on and we're constantly trying to work on. But if somebody says, I called them, maybe we didn't solve their problem. Maybe we couldn't make it better. Maybe it was too difficult of a problem to solve or whatever, right? But if they know we cared, if they know that we listened to them, if we know that we tried, we made them feel that we had their back, um, that's a great success story. That's a great testimonial as well. So don't limit yourself to just the dollars and cents. You can have testimonials that talk about any or all of these things, and they're all going to be very powerful messages advocating for your business and your product. So this is a team game, and I've mentioned this before, right? We have to support one another's efforts. I recognize your role in teaching and preparing members to use this membership. It's very important to us. It means that these folks are going to be more likely to be happy with the product whenever they call us and use it. We want them to be happy, but we want them to be prepared. So that's part of the team game. But the social media game is also a team game as well. We've talked a little bit about you making little videos of your own personal success story and sharing it with other associates so that they can post it and share your story, right? They can share your story. Follow one another's social media pages and posts, comment on them, like them, share them. You're going to all help one another broaden your network of contacts that are out there in the world, right? Many of you you're not really in competition with one another. The more awareness there is in the marketplace of our product, right? the better it is for everybody. Market awareness is very good for everybody. You want that. There are 12 million people in Pennsylvania. There's plenty of marketplace out there for everybody to go banging around. You should all be able to get a great amount of sales, out of that. There are lots of people. I mean, the need for access to legal services, especially civil legal services, is only increasing, and it's increasing dramatically. And the ability that people have to access the legal services that they need is shrinking, right? It's shrinking. It's a perfect marketplace for you and for this product, right? Because it's just more and more difficult, primarily because of cost, for people to access legal services. So you've got a great solution to a problem that's very prevalent out there right now. So I've talked about sharing and retweeting one another's information. Commenting and liking positively edify, one another. You really have to spend some time doing that, and just supporting one another out there. So we talked a little bit about communications linking to your online presence. So your emails, your texts, things of that nature have to look professional, and they have to convey information. So you want to have that email signature. If you've ever received an email from us or a text from our firm, you'll know exactly what an email signature looks like. It has our name, address, links to our website, things of that nature on it. All of yours should look like that, and just convey information about your business and where they can find more information about your business. I'm going to also suggest that, and this is a little bit of advanced, so we're going into a little bit of advanced class here. You might think about establishing a gravatar, right? And so a gravatar is an image that follows you from website to website, and it appears beside your name whenever you do things like comment or post on a blog. That's something that we'll talk about maybe in another session, and how beneficial that is. But when you comment on websites and blogs and things of that nature, and your gravatar is integrated with that, so a picture of you shows up, somebody clicks on the picture, and it has your information and how to find you and where you are, including where to find your business or find you online. It helps you gain credibility and exposure out there in the marketplace. So you might come up in web searches and things of that nature because you're commenting out there, and you have a gravatar that's associated with your name, with your picture, and it's going to be linked to whatever place online that it is. I think mine is linked perhaps to my LinkedIn page, so people can find me there. If I've commented halfway intelligently on a small business blog post of some kind, and people liked whatever I had to say and they want to find out how to get a hold of me, my gravatar is a roadmap to how to find me, right? Okay, so let's talk just very briefly about a client service model. That's an intentional plan to proactively service your existing clients, right? And so this is really a perfect time, and any time is a perfect time, quite frankly, to reach out to your clients, because many of them are working at home. And so developing and implementing a client service model now is a great way for you to jumpstart your efforts to get your business reactivated, take it to another level, whatever it is. And so a client service model has a number of different elements to it, one of which is that you have to segment or categorize your clients, your customers, in some way. It's going to be the ones that you're going to want to spend the most time with, and down to the ones that you want to spend the least time with, because you can't do the same thing for all of them or spend the same amount of time for all of them, because quite frankly, your customers, they're going to be ones that are more important to you, and they're going to be some that are less important to you, right? Some of them, from your perspective, might be ones who are a better source of referrals, or may open more doors for you to, if you sell group or you want to sell business memberships or whatever. So you're going to segment those in some way that makes sense for you, because you only have so much time during the day, week, month. And so you're going to have to put most of your efforts that are going to get you the most return, right? Don't spend a lot of time on things that aren't going to get you a lot of return. So you'll want to come up with the number and frequency of contacts that you're going to have with your customers per year. That's going to be part of your plan. How often how often do I reach these people, right? How frequently do I reach these people? Is it once a year? Is it twice a year? Is it 4 times a year? Whatever it is that makes sense for your business. Whenever you reach out to them, you need some basic client information: their age, location, family, employment. You have to connect with them in an empathetic way. Where are they in life? What's their life situation, so that you know a little bit about them, right? Um, and then you want to have different types of contacts with them during the year, right? That's what it's going to be. You're going to intentionally plan this out. These folks I'm going to contact 2 or 3 or 4 times a year, and this is when I'm going to do it during the year. So you're going to have it all booked out, right? My Class A plus clients, I'm going to contact them in January, April, September, and November, or something, whatever it is. And then these are the types of things that these are the types of contacts that I'm going to have, some touch points along the way. So, you might have a connect contact with them. How are you doing? What's new with you? Maybe you do that on the phone. Maybe you do that via email. Maybe it's text. You have to decide how you want to do that. You certainly want to contact with them on birthdays and holidays. Um, Perhaps you share product updates, news, like your new social media pages that you have out there. Hey, I just, put a business page out there in Facebook. Please check it out. That's a contact, right? That's communicating with these folks, reminding them that you're still out there in existence and doing your thing. And you certainly will want to encourage them to use their membership, right? Perhaps you say, hey, if you need any help, have you gotten your will done? If not, please do it. And oh, by the way, I'd be happy to help you in any way or facilitate getting that done. Do you need forms? Do you need contact? You can certainly send them a link to our webinar at our YouTube page or on our website that says, yes, you need a will, and here's why, to explain to them and help them better understand why they need a will. So we've got some tools available to you to point them to. Now, your outcomes that you're hoping for, whenever you're talking to these folks on an intentional basis, is you may be able to upsell, right? You upsell them, modify the product that they have. Perhaps they've started a business, or they have a business that you didn't know about, and all they have is a family membership. So you can upsell them to a plan that better fits their needs. Perhaps they've had children who have aged out of coverage, or their life situation has taken them out of coverage if they haven't aged out. And that's an opportunity for you to sell a separate plan for their kids, or suggest to them that they purchase a plan for their children, perhaps as a birthday gift, perhaps as a holiday gift of some kind, whatever, graduation gift, whatever it is. But that's another opportunity to sell additional memberships. Perhaps they might be interested in buying a plan for their parents to make sure that their parents are covered, especially if folks are getting a little bit older. Folks that are in advanced age, they really need somebody that they can connect with, because life is more complicated, more confusing for them. They've got a lot of difficult choices to make. And, sometimes they're just not as able to make difficult decisions on their own as they used to. And they need us to talk to a very sweet woman who just turned 93. Her husband died in July. He was 96. And she needed to talk to somebody. And I was so happy to chat with her and be there for her, and can provide her the unadulterated truth and advice that she really needs. So maybe buying a plan for a parent is a great idea, or something that you can suggest for them. Of course, ask them to check you out online and check out your information, or check out ours, right? Hey, we've got a great provider firm here in Pennsylvania. They've got a ton of great information on their Facebook page, social media pages, whatever. Please check them out. Here's a link, right? Send them a link to wherever it is that we are. You don't have to have the content. We can have the content. We're putting that out there for you to use to connect your members with. Ask for referrals, right? If they're happy with the membership, they're happy with you, they appreciated the contact. Yes, if they say yes to any of those things, then you absolutely have to be asking for referrals. Is there anybody else, that you think could benefit from this product that I could talk to? I would love to talk with them if you'd be kind enough to share my information with them, or share their information with me. I would love to be talking about them. That's the easiest method of lead acquisition. If you're in a dedicated client service model, contacting folks all the time, that says to them that you care about them and they're going to be more trusting of you. And whenever they're more trusting of you, they're going to be more willing to provide leads for you. So, um, the most important thing that I can say in closing here is to be bold, try new things, have fun, right? When you have the right mindset, you can keep calm during this crisis. You can keep selling during the downturn. You can thrive during the downturn. You can really amp up your business during this downturn and end up being a better sales associate, right? And be there and be in a great place to take advantage of the opportunities that will really explode once this pandemic is over. And it is going to end. I firmly believe that. And we're all going to be able to get back together. But wouldn't it be great to do some of these things, put some of these practices in place, make them better if you're already doing them, so that whenever this pandemic is over, you've already got the infrastructure in place. You're going to hit the ground, not only walking, but running, and really bump up your business. So that's all that I have. I'm going to open it up for Q&A here, but just a brief word that if you liked this, I'm going to be posting this on YouTube. I'll send a link out for it. I'll post it on our Facebook page so that you'll know where to find it. You'll know where to direct other associates or customers to it. And I would just ask you kindly to like it, share it, comment on it. We really appreciate any feedback that you have. I've got some helpful links and some webinar extras that I would offer to all of you. And so if you email us at info@fificlaw.com, I'm going to provide you with links about Gravitars, about adding signatures to your text messages. I'll send you a sample client service model that you can use and adapt for you. And I'm going to also, in there is a sort of a plan on how to do connect appointments with customers that you have out there, and a little bit of a game plan on how to do that. So let me stop the share here.